your windows. Lock your doors. Keep your loved ones near. Time is running out. It's here for fear.
Welcome to Ear for Fear. This is Donovan.
And I'm Rick.
And this is the podcast where we talk about scary movies or movies trying to be scary.
Today we're going to be talking about 1985's Fright Night. Before we jump in, you want to do a quick synopsis? Or you want me to do it?
You do it.
All right. Let's see. Charlie Brewster believes that his new next door neighbor is a vampire. His belief is strengthened when mysterious deaths of some women are reported. When the new neighbor confronts Charlie in his own bedroom one night and tries to kill him, Charlie concludes that the monster must be destroyed. But since nobody believes his story, he seeks out the help of Peter Vincent, the vampire killer from his favorite horror TV show. Peter Vincent doesn't believe vampires exist. Charlie's friends, Amy and Ed, try to convince Peter Vincent to help them prove to Charlie that his neighbor is not a vampire. Reluctantly, the vampire slayer accepts the invitation, only to have a chance to prove Charlie wrong. Nevertheless, the neighbor's lack of reflection in Mr. Vincent's mirror says otherwise. Charlie and Peter Vincent must team up to kick some vampire ass. So, Fright Night. Had you seen this before?
I think so.
Maybe. Had you watched it like a long time ago?
Yeah, maybe when I was an early teenager or kid, because I remember parts of this movie, but not most of it. Like I remembered the very end.
Oh,
But
yeah.
for some reason, I thought that the ending scene had like a whole bunch of blood, but maybe I'm getting like YouTube stuff mixed up in my head where there's like, who stars in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder I think he's like in a vampire spoof movie with what's the other guy's name? Not Mel Gibson.
Mel Brooks.
Mel Brooks, thank you. Where they did like a spoof movie, and I think I'm getting that thing stuck in my head where he's like putting a stake into a vampire and it's like a lot of blood. But I remember there being like a whole explosion of blood. And I don't know why I'm thinking about that. But that's why I'm like saying, well, maybe I saw this movie. Because I remember parts of it, but I think like, you know, just as you get older, it gets all mixed up in your head. And that's what happened to me here.
Yeah.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah. Do you like it?
Yeah,
Did you like it?
I like the movie. I'm a sucker for setup and payoff. And we had a lot of setup and payoff in this movie.
Yeah, we did. I mean, this came out in 85. And I was looking at some of the movies that came out in 85. And there was a lot of good horror movies in 85. And funny enough, we've done a few of them already. Reanimator, 85. House, 85. I think there was a movie called The Stuff. We could talk about that one at some point down the road too. I don't think you'll like that one, but we could do that one. I don't know, one of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. I think part 2 came out, which is probably one of the worst ones.
Yeah, no one talks about part 2.
Huh?
No one talks about part 2.
No, part 2's bad. The makeup for Freddy is phenomenal in part 2, but other than that, it's not that great.
Okay.
Silver Bullet, which is a werewolf movie with Corey Haim. No, it's not a bad one. The werewolf is terrible. Oh my God, people get it, just rip it apart.
Is that a good
so bad
movie?
It's not. It's actually a pretty good movie, except for the werewolf. It's bad. It has Gary Busey in it before he went all like wacky. But it's actually not a bad movie. Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that came out in 85. I'm sure some Friday the 13th, I don't know, 4 or 5. And Fright Night. I mean, there's a lot of good movies from 85. Yeah. And I saw most of these in the theater. So I think this is why this particular vampire movie holds like a place in my heart. Rewatching it, I still really, really enjoy the movie a lot. I think there's a few things I didn't care for, which was like I've never cared for the whole club scene. You know, when you know Jerry Dandridge comes and and Charlie and Amy are there and they're calling Peter Vincent, and that whole, I don't know, it felt like it went on too long, or it just wasn't like needed. They could have done another scene. I just never cared for this scene. And
I like that scene, but I do agree it goes on for like a minute or two too long.
Yeah.
We know what he's doing. He's putting her under his like vampire spell.
Yeah.
But it has a little too much of its own cake. You know what I mean? It just spends too much time on it.
Yeah, to me, it's just like, I mean, I get what they're doing and why they're doing it, but I don't know. Take me somewhere else. I would.
It's also like she's supposed to be in high school, and this is some ageless vampire, and there's like weird implications going on in this whole scene.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a few moments of that in this movie, even in the opening scene where the boyfriend, Mr. Brewster, is being a little forceful to Amy, who is telling him to stop, but he keeps going, which is definitely a product of its time. That wouldn't fly today.
No.
You get multiple scenes between Dandridge the vampire and Amy. Pretty weird.
Almost too many of them, in my opinion. Yeah.
And then you have Dandridge, who's this older guy, again, ageless vampire, but in the real world, he looks like a very attractive, fit 40-year-old guy, maybe late 30s, around that age.
Yep.
And then he's like having, sexual escapades right next to his open window. You know what I mean? Where his high school age next door neighbor can like peep on him. It's a lot of weird stuff.
Yes. Yes, it is very
and
weird.
That's not even like the whole like actual sexual stuff that happens between Dandridge and Amy when he's got her in his home,
Yeah.
It's
another scene that I didn't care for either. I think it's because I don't know. I mean, I would rather see more vampire shit and more cool effects and stuff. I don't want to see like you said, an older man and a high school girl. And again, it's a horror movie, so we have to kind of just let some stuff slide. But now in today's age, yeah, I mean, you're watching it through today's glasses, or lenses, and yeah. That made me feel a little uncomfortable, I think.
Yeah, it's aged like milk for sure. I will say, like, outside of those few things, I really love, or I don't know if I love the movie. I kind of loved my time with it, but I think I really, really liked the movie.
Yeah.
I said earlier where it's kind of having its own cake, and it seems to be doing both. It's eating it and having it. I just like a movie when it kind of knows what it is. And it's not being like lazy about it. And this movie is very smart about what it's doing most of the time. Well, actually, I don't really have examples of it being dumb. So I'll say the only failings I really kind of have with this movie outside of the whole sexual stuff is sort of like the lack of character development. There's really not a whole lot of that. I guess that's it, actually. I kind of like everything else.
Some of the stuff, and it's not that I dislike it, but when you and I were rewatching this, and we were asking ourselves questions like, well, why?
Oh, there's like not a whole lot of explanation of the rules of like the monsters.
Yeah, I just, and oh yeah, we forgot to say the spoiler alert, because if you haven't seen Fright Night, you definitely should go see it and then come back and listen to this. But we're gonna talk about the whole film and there's gonna be spoilers. But why, and again, we know vampires aren't real, so there's different rules. And it seems like from different movie to movie, everyone kind of makes up their own stuff. There is some stuff that people follow, the crosses and garlic and holy water. But then why does Ed, or Evil, why does he turn into a wolf? I mean, he's been bitten by Jerry. So I don't know, is he like a vampire in training? And he's not a full vampire yet, but because he sure looks like it with the eyes and the teeth and everything. But then
even his teeth are a little wonky, like they're out of like a dog's mouth. But I always kind of thought like, they were trying to make him like goofy because the actual character's a little goofy. So he just came out as like some ugly vampire instead of some super sexy vampire.
Yeah,
like Dandridge. But he's he turns into a wolf instead of a bat.
I don't know what that's about.
I don't know what that's about either. And now, like, I kind of am aware of like, I should have looked this up beforehand, but vampires can have servants, and they can walk through the day. That's who you think. What's his?
Oh, Billy.
Billy. Yeah. That's kind of what I thought he was doing, but he seems to be undead in a way because he gets shot in the head and then he just gets back up.
And he keeps coming.
And then he dies with a stake to the heart, and I wasn't expecting that either.
I'm not sure.
There's like a whole lot of rules that aren't necessarily explained, and it's just a little weird. Or even like how Amy, maybe this is like a trope that you just don't see very much, but Amy, coming back to be a normal human after killing Dandridge before dawn, even though it's technically after dawn when he dies.
Yeah, it is. And
it's like you need to like suspend. You need to just not think about the rules, because there really aren't any if you want to enjoy this movie. But the rest of the movie is kind of great because of how great the performances are, especially by Dandridge, who is like the most perfectly cast vampire.
Chris Sarandon,
yeah.
Which I had told you that's the voice of Jack Skellington. You didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, he kills it in both these movies.
He's really good. I think he's the brother of Susan Sarandon. I think that's what it is. But he's really good in this. Peter Vincent, Roddy McDowall, all of them are really good. Evil is a little over the top, but I think that's his
like,
character.
That's definitely done on purpose because he's supposed to be the comic relief, like the comic relief that dies, right?
Yes, yeah.
So like, but the way he's just like, "You're so cool, Brewster," stuff like that.
You're so cool, Brewster.
I'm surprised I haven't heard that more often in like pop culture. It's just so like iconic, and it fits, it works. So it's like on purpose, and I like that because again, the movie's not taking itself seriously. It knows what it is. So I was thinking about this earlier because I moved in with you, and before I was living somewhere else, and now I got a 30-minute commute to my work.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got time to think now.
Versus the other 20-25 minutes.
Okay. So for the people that don't know, my old place of residence was kind of like in a small city, like a suburby city. So there's like a lot of turns, and there's a lot of having to pay attention. Now we're living like almost like in the country almost.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is accurate.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. So
not maybe country, but I mean, yeah.
There's not a lot out here.
There is,
especially between here and my work. So
all freeway.
It's all freeway. It's all 2-lane freeway, and it's like I don't need to like think about driving very much. Is what the point I'm trying to say.
Right? It's kind of nice. Yeah.
It's like half good, half bad.
I like to get in one lane, and then I just think about other stuff. I listen to music, and then I don't have to really like go from lane to lane and worry about stuff. And I enjoy that because most of the time I'm exhausted, and I don't want to have to worry about turning and this and that. And so I kind of enjoy the drive.
Yeah, again, it's like a double-edged sword for me because the lack of having to think about driving kind of makes me sleepy. And, I don't want to be tired when I'm driving. And,
True.
I'm like, I woke up less than an hour ago. So I'm generally pretty tired during that drive.
Yeah.
Not like dangerously tired, but I'm still like, I don't want to be sleepy when I'm driving, especially on like a monotonous drive. Doesn't matter. It's not the point. The point is like when I was either driving to work today or from work today, back here, I was thinking about genre, and I was thinking of how fluid the term genre and almost meaningless that term is, because this is technically a horror movie, but it doesn't feel very much like a horror movie. And you and I this is the first time we've ever watched a movie together for the podcast.
For the podcast, yeah.
Yeah. And it's even been a while since we've watched a full movie together. And I was thinking last night, I don't remember feeling too scared in this movie. And I don't remember you feeling too scared in this movie.
No, this is not a scary movie.
Exactly.
And it's not. I mean, but a horror movie doesn't have to be scary. And it doesn't have to scare you.
I'm getting to that.
Sorry.
So like, this isn't really a horror movie. There's horror elements too, and I just was, I don't think about genre that much, but we're a horror podcast. So we talk about horror movies, but if I had to classify this movie as a horror movie, I'd say it's not. It has horror elements and it's definitely poking at the genre, but it isn't a horror movie. It feels more like an adventure like mystery thriller type movie, you know?
Oh, I
It
disagree.
has like the sidekick, it has the damsel in distress, it has the big bad villain, you know, and there's like this uncovering of the mystery. It feels very almost like self-contained suburb like Indiana Jones. And
No, you're crazy.
dude,
I do not agree with you at all with this. This is a total horror
he even
movie.
gets like the old retiree like back in action, even though like, you know, the Vincent Price type character like
Yeah,
obviously has never
yeah.
actually killed a vampire. But
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that today. Like this is outside of One Cut of the Dead, which is a movie is like only like 30 minutes of that's really a horror movie. Like this movie does not feel like a horror movie at all. It feels
Oh
like something
man.
totally different that just borrows
Really?
horror elements.
I
And that's my point.
I just
You know?
I don't agree with you at
That's okay.
all. And it's okay. I
But
mean,
I feel like it needs to be said. Like Fright Night, it's in the title, but it's not like a horror movie.
but it is a horror movie. What do you classify a horror movie? I mean,
Yeah, see,
is it a slash? I mean, are you thinking slasher? Are you thinking
No.
ghost? I mean, because
And that's why I wanted to like
because
sort
we're-
of look up the
yeah.
definition of, you know, like what does it mean to be a horror movie? And
Yeah.
does that mean it just contains horror elements? Does there have to be like a monster villain? Does there have to be blood, gore? Does there have to be killing or maiming? You know, like what
I don't know if there's set rules for it, but I mean, we have first of all, we have a monster, which is the vampire. I mean, he's a vampire, he's a monster, so we have that. We have blood, we have killings. You know, I mean, what else do you need? I mean, we got the quintessential '80s boobs going on there because that was big in the '80s.
Oh, so you need boobs to be a horror movie?
No, I'm just saying in the 1980s, almost every horror movie had some sort of boobage going on, and we have that. But I mean, what were we missing that you think we were missing to label this a horror movie? I mean, this is the epitome of a horror movie. It isn't super scary, but I could argue there's a ton of movies out there that are horror movies that aren't super scary.
I think
Especially like the ones that I really kind of gravitate towards, the real campy and fun ones. And this is a fun ride. At times this gets a little dark, but it's still fun. I mean, the whole Peter Vincent character, this kind of B horror movie like actor guy. You know, you got the typical, you know, 80s teenagers, and I mean, you got the vampires, you got some cool blood, you got green ooze coming out of, I think it was it Billy? That's total 80s. I mean, that usually that fluorescent green something another, you know. But I mean, you know, what do you think it's missing to in your opinion, to classify it as a horror movie? Because in my book, absolutely 100% a horror movie.
I think what it's missing for me is this lack of dread in the film. There's no dread. Now there are tense scenes, but Breaking Bad has a ton of tense scenes. What I'm missing is some sort of feeling of like dread, of some overwhelming bit of like an obstacle that you can't overcome, that's steeped in horror, and that's not here for me.
But I could argue that, I mean, I don't know what episode. I think are we episode 19 today?
Yeah.
This is episode 19. I could argue that point on half of the movies they didn't have dread. I mean, I can't think of them
so
offhand.
it's interesting. Why is this movie bringing that up for me? Is it just because I had too much fun with the movie?
Maybe,
but see, I had like
thing,
fun
yeah.
with like Brain Dead, or, you know, Dead Alive, and I
Yeah.
didn't like bother thinking about this question then. So what is it about this movie? And I've even seen this poster like either on your wall or
Oh yeah, I have it
somewhere like a billion times.
I have it up. I have it upstairs.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of my favorite movie posters.
And that's like a horror poster for
Absolutely.
sure. That's scary.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was thinking about it on the car ride some point today.
Maybe you're thinking too much when you're driving.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to, I don't know, learn a new language and pop something
Yeah.
in.
I should.
But I'm glad you had fun with it, because really that's, I think, the kind of, I mean, not to say the entire point, but I'm happy that you had fun with it.
See,
you know, because this movie is fun for me, minus a few scenes that we chatted about, but this is a fun movie. you know?
Exactly. And
It's
I think,
fun.
I think that's what my point is. I don't think horror movies should be fun, but this movie was fun for me.
Final Girls that we did however many weeks back.
Yeah, and I could argue that's not a horror movie either, dude.
Horror movie, and it was fun.
Anyway,
was Tucker and Dale versus Evil?
We haven't talked about that.
We haven't, but that's a fun movie, and I love those types of fun movies. You know, campy ones, the Blob and stuff. Maybe we do down the road, but you know. So, anyways, but that's funny, man. You know, that you're that you know. That you I guess are thinking way too much about it, but you know, maybe that's kind of a good thing as well, because you know, how often do we watch a movie and we do an episode, and then you really like, you know, you're driving and you're really thinking about the movie. How often do you do that? You probably don't do that often, do you?
No, I actually did that. As long as we're doing, well, I've always had a drive to where we record, so I've always thought about the movies. But this is the first time where just that one question popped up in my head. And I remember talking or watching some YouTube video on genre itself, or maybe just someone talking about genre a long time ago. And I was thinking about this movie and I was like, oh yeah, here's that question again. Is like genre as a term just meaningless or whatever, you know? And so that's just what popped it in. But no, I always think about these movies, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean,
but I'm usually not like answering or trying to like question something outside of the film while I'm doing these drives. I'm usually thinking about the movie, not like some sort of film thing outside of the movie, you know?
Yeah, you know, and I guess it's open for interpretation. I mean, you know, just because I say it's such doesn't mean, you know, it's, you know, fact, but you know, you and I had watched The Lodge a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was a complete piece of crap. I didn't have any fun with it at all. I thought it was a waste of an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. But people are classifying that as horror, and that doesn't seem horror to me at all. Like what part of is that horror? And is it because of what happened at the end was horrific? I don't know.
See, if we're talking about if we just focus in on one point, and this obviously isn't everything that comes into what a horror movie is, but that movie is very full of dread for me. Not too dissimilar from like Hereditary, you know, which is probably like the quintessential horror movie when I'm talking about horror movies, is like there's just this thing that just submerges the entire film like at a depth to where there's like so much pressure you can't escape it.
Is it like an uneasiness to it?
That's part of it. And that's kind of we're not going to answer this question here.
No, we're not.
I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was interesting, and because this movie made me think about it. And you know, it's just like this cheesy, fun horror movie from the 1980s, and this is what made me think about this really weird question about film in general, or I'm sorry, genre kind of applies to all art. So this very like artistic question. Anyway, but like like that. What were we talking? What movie did you just bring up? Oh yeah, The Lodge. That movie has that in spades because it's about like, you know, like a girlfriend character trying to like know her boyfriend's kids or fiance, I think at that time. And the kids like just dislike her for almost no reason.
Well, other than the fact that they believe that their mother's death was the cause of this woman because their mother took her life.
Because the kids are the kids are stupid. They're really, really stupid.
You know, the problem with The Lodge, and we're not going to I don't want to get way into The Lodge other than the fact that I hated the damn thing. But there are so many things that are just not explained in this movie at all in The Lodge. So many things unanswered, and you know, and I think if they would have answered some of these things, maybe it would have been a better movie. But to me, it was just a complete waste of time.
When it comes to like The Lodge, I think I talked to you about this, but when you were talking about making an episode out of this movie, But like, you know, if it seemed like the movie is going to go one way, and like the movie's like even like going that way because the characters are talking about it, and then it just like here's a little twist, psych, and then we're not going to go that way anymore. And I really wish like they went the first way because that was the more interesting movie.
Exactly.
And instead they just had the kids be little shits and stupid.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, and I felt like they overthought this thing. The Lodge was done by the same directors that did Goodnight Mommy, which we've done. Goodnight Mommy wasn't a great movie. It was a decent movie. I enjoyed some of it.
Oh yeah, and that's why I didn't. It just felt like a retread of Goodnight Mommy.
It did, and not even in a good way. It's like they did Goodnight Mommy and like, oh hey, let's do this lodge and let's make it very similar, and it didn't work for me at all. And they I don't know. I don't know if it was a money situation. They ran out of time, ran out of money. They overthought it. I don't know. But what they did and what they could have done, they could have gone so many different directions, and I think any of those directions would have been better than what was the end result.
I thought it was going to be like this philosophical movie about what it means to like be alive, or like your relationships between people who don't see eye to eye on things and coming closer together through some like, crazy situation. But nope, it's just the kids were,
just dicks.
Like hella grudge that didn't mean anything.
They could have really explored the whole her father, who was like a leader of a cult, and they could have really explored that, and it was just like a real quick and then that was it. And to me it was just a wasted opportunity. But I think we spent too much time on The Lodge because I didn't like it. But let's dive into Fright Night. So
let's just so the beginning part, we meet Brewster and his girlfriend Amy. They haven't had sex yet. That seems to be again, this is a 1980s horror movie, so of course it's going to be an issue, or like a thing that's brought up in the film. I'm assuming they're both virgins or whatever. It doesn't matter. Yeah, whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever. Yeah. And Vincent Price character is on. What's his name?
Peter Vincent.
Peter Vincent. Thank you. He's hosting like some like movie night type of thing that's on every night. I think it could be every Saturday. It could be every night. I don't know. Yeah. And he starts to see Brewster kind of like catches like Billy, who we don't know is Billy yet, bring in like a coffin with some other guy into the basement, and that piques his interest. So he starts to focus on that instead of Amy, who's starting to undress and reluctantly have sex with Brewster. But he's like, well,
do you think it was reluctantly? I think she was.
There was a hesitance that was there beforehand.
At first, and then I think she just.
Yeah, of course, that's literally the definition of reluctant. Like, she's obviously consenting. That's not what I'm trying to say here, but there is definitely reluctance going on there. So, but she like gets upset because he's not paying attention to her anymore, and this is where the movie's like, whatever, dude. And he's paying attention to, what's happening over next door. And then he kind of like pokes into that over like the next 30 minutes. And then he gets all these various hints that, oh yeah, my neighbor's a vampire.
Yes.
And,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Pretty much.
You want to give us like a rundown of everything he sees?
Oh my gosh.
What's the first thing we see? Like him actually biting on like a neck of a woman?
Yeah. So, I mean, so the real first thing is the casket, and those things are hundreds of pounds, and Billy is carrying one side and the other one seems to be floating. Did you not catch that? It almost
no, I didn't.
Yeah, I think Dandridge had like his hands in his pockets or his coat or whatever, and it looked like almost like he was powering the lift via his brain or something, his mind,
Huh.
Yeah, didn't it look like he was breaking a sweat at all? And these things are hundreds of pounds solid wood. We see that. I think we see the to me it looks, I don't know. The girl shows up. This was during the day. She's a pretty blonde. Looks like a hooker, right? Did she not look like a hooker to you?
Well, she looked like a person who was going to go out on a date or something.
Oh, I see. To me, this spanked of hooker, like some sort of.
Do you have to use the word hooker?
Okay, prostitute. Just kidding.
Thank you.
That's what, and I know she asks Charlie, hey, where's such and such? Oh, that's the house next door. And then I think the next day, Charlie sees that girl on the news. Missing girl or found murdered, and so he starts, and then I think he's maybe spying on Jerry next door because he's watching TV, and then he sees a pretty girl in the window, and him and her and Jerry start to kind of do their thing, and then he sees Jerry go to bite her, and so he's thinking, yeah, something's not right here. So, the long teeth, girls going missing, coffin. He just assumes that she's a vampire.
Yeah, so I remember them watching this last night and thinking like Jerry Dandridge is like a terrible vampire, and I'm surprised he's been doing this for so long. It's like you move to a new place and right away you just commit like 3 murders like back to back nights.
I know.
Like you're causing a whole bunch of like suspicion. You can't even like kill a boy in his own home after the mother lets you in,
I know.
which is like the next thing that happens after he starts to cause some shit by like calling the police and all that, and getting like a detective down there to like interrogate Billy and be like, oh yeah, there's a murder going on here. Let's investigate. And then like he starts to like unwind and say, well, I think they're a vampire, or at least the other guy's a vampire. He's downstairs in the basement. He's like, well, come on, kid. This is the real world.
Yeah.
There's no vampires in the real world. So that's like the next thing that happens. But like Jerry Dandridge kind of sucks. Like he's not a good vampire. And apparently he's been doing this for a long time, because the only other like memorabilia he has is like 16th century armor and like old paintings of people, like just obviously old stuff, right? That has to be hundreds of years old. So he's been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
He obviously has a servant, so he knows how that works.
Maybe over time he just got sloppy, or it just, it has to work with the movie. So, Yeah,
I'm just saying, dude, this guy sucks. I'm surprised he's been doing this for so long. Yeah. And he has like too much confidence. But yeah, Sarandon like kind of kills it, because he's just the perfect really amount of handsome, and he's got like this really like interesting way of like walking and looking at people. Like he just seems so cool all the time.
And he's definitely got, I mean, we know he feeds on people and drinks their blood and everything else, but he's also very healthy, because he's eating fruit through the whole movie.
Yeah, what was up with that? I didn't understand.
I don't know. I noticed the apple bit before, because he takes one bite of the apple and it's nearly gone, but all through the whole movie he's eating fruit through the whole movie. I don't know. I'm not sure what that was all about. Was there some other message there? I
wonder if it's like an homage to something, because I've seen other people.
Could be. It could be.
I don't know. It's definitely strange. I've never seen like a vampire eat an apple.
Gosh, I don't know. Probably not.
I don't know if it's like a reference to some sort of like monster vampire lore. I don't understand.
I wonder if it is.
Maybe he does it as like a palate cleanser almost, because it's almost always after he's fed. At least I know the first time he eats an apple, that's what it is. But then we see him again at like 6 p.m. before he's like eating anybody. So I'm not sure. It's like
he left his fruit.
It could just honestly be like stranded, like, hey man, I wanted something to do, so give me an apple, please.
Could be.
Yeah. I mean, if that was a choice, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like it's not cool.
Yeah.
So like obviously no one believes Brewster that his neighbor's a vampire, and why would you? It's the real world. There's no vampires. What they don't understand is they're in a movie. So so basically the rest of the movie is Brewster trying to not be killed by Dandridge, and for him to convince his friends that Dandridge is a vampire.
Yeah.
And these murders that have been happening are because of him feeding.
Yeah. He just doesn't do a great job convincing, does he? Like,
no.
The whole cop scene, it could have been just as simple as, look, I saw this girl that's on the news. She's now dead. I saw her here, but it was almost like Billy was egging him on to kind of like, have him say something stupid, and the cop's just going to roll his eyes and bounce, but I know Charlie goes and tries to get some help from Evil. I think he pays him what, $8 or $9, and Evil gives him a cross, and hey, you need garlic, and doesn't he tell him a vampire can't come in unless the rightful owner of the house invites them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the very next scene, we see Dandridge already in the house. I love this little bit.
Yeah. That's a good scene. What's funny is I think I was watching The Lost Boys recently, and I think the vampire can't come into the house unless the man of the house, whoever that may be,
I've heard this
invites.
I've heard this in 3 different ways now.
Yeah.
I've heard it that way. I'm sorry. I have not heard the man way, but I've heard it the way this movie does it. And then I've also heard it where just anyone can let you in, but they have to let you in.
Okay.
And that was, I forget, there was like a remake of this a European film. I don't remember specifically in Europe.
Let the Right One In.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like it's like Let the Right One In, and then like Let the Right, I don't know. There's like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's exactly the movie I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And then like they can walk in that movie, but it's like you get their body basically just gets blisters and starts coming apart, you know? So, you know, yeah, 3 different ways. I don't know.
Again, I don't think there's
it's
any
a fictional monster role.
Exactly.
You can have any sort of liberty you want with your own monster.
You can. I think you can do anything you want in these movies.
What's that movie? Is like 30 Days of Night. Or
30 Days a Night.
Did I get that right?
Yeah, 30 Days a Night. Not 20,
like,
but 30. Yeah.
Like the zombies in that, like most of the, vampires.
Yeah.
Most of the vampires in that are basically just mindless zombies, you know, that just like really like eating people.
Yeah.
So like that's, you know, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
But the rules do have to be explained. I've said that a lot in movies. Please explain what the hell you're doing, because I need to understand what's going on. Otherwise, the tension is gone. And we saw that through most of the movie. Like, oh yeah, crosses do work in this.
You got to believe, though. You got to have faith.
And they make a big point of that. Holy water works. We don't know if garlic works. The letting the in thing has that's also true.
That seems to work.
The only thing that we are kind of like unsure on is like, well, why doesn't he turn other people into vampires? He kind of just turns them into monsters.
The reflection works. That's a trope as well. You know, that if you you know, a vampire doesn't cast a reflection. Oh my gosh. I don't think I had mentioned this to you. I'd seen this movie so many times. And I love when I rewatch a movie and I catch something that I never caught before. And we were rewatching this last night when Dandridge comes into the mother's room and he goes to walk out the door and there's that huge mirror and there's no reflection and we see the door open and close. I never caught that before. I loved it. It's little details like that.
Yeah, they're really good with the mirror stuff in this. And somehow it seems pretty hard because the only way to do that is either like composite a different like bit of film or to just create a whole separate room behind the quote unquote mirror, you know? Man, so it's like hard to do. And I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It was a nice little nugget that I had never caught before. I don't know how I missed this because I saw this in the theater when it came out. And, you know, I think over time you see this on like, say, VHS, you know, and VHS was terrible. And so you just don't catch little things, or you're watching it on a 32-inch TV and, you know, we watched it on a 100-inch screen. So, you know, you catch little things that maybe you haven't caught before.
Yeah, we watched the DVD too. And I was like, oh yeah, your Blu-ray player's kind of good at upscaling because there was like a couple scenes in the movie where like I saw the wires.
Oh, yes,
I even told you like when Evil is like dying.
Yeah, after
he's
turned into a wolf.
He's like the dog. Like, yeah, you can see like obviously it's just like a very light puppet suit maybe, and they're just like dragging the puppet from like above
underneath the stairs.
You can see like there's a wire on like the shoulder and one on the head. Yeah, and I was like, damn, I'm surprised
you did catch it. I didn't catch it because I wasn't paying attention.
I saw you can also see like on one of the scenes with the Dandridge bat. Yeah, it's like was obviously they're like, you know, they're not playing to like the home video audience that people are going to pause the film, right? They're like, people are going to see this in theaters once or twice and they're not even going to notice it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's on screen for like 3 seconds at tops.
What I did recognize or notice was they made Roddy McDowall play, you know, his character, Peter Vincent. They made him look really old. And I don't think I'm sure he was old when he did the movie, but they made him look extra old. And it was noticeable when we were rewatching it.
They put like a ton of white paint on his face.
Yes, right? And the hair clearly either looked like a wig or they dyed it. I mean, he looked but I never noticed that before. But this time he looked overly old.
So this is like The Exorcist Godfather situation where they took like an actor that's not that old, made them like really old for some reason.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Like, Max von Sydow was, I don't know, 30 or 40
we
something.
We looked this up a long time ago.
Yeah,
I can't believe we forgot.
I know. I think he was in his 40s and they made him look like he was like 80, but that was done well.
Yeah.
That was done well.
Yeah.
You know, but anyways, okay, so let's see. No one believes him.
During all of this, his relationship with Amy is going downhill. because obviously he's focused on the vampire stuff and not on her. So she doesn't like it. Again, I'm not a big fan of this stuff because like, why is this so important to you? You know, especially when it's like not important to Brewster apparently.
Well, Brewster's more concerned about getting killed.
That's a good point. All right, retract it.
I mean, he knows that Dandridge is a vampire. Dandridge knows that Charlie knows that he's a vampire. So yeah,
I kind of love this whole game of cat and mouse between Dandridge and Brewster, because obviously the other one wants the other one dead, the other one doesn't want to be dead. So like you have Brewster doing all these precautions, doing everything he can, and it kind of works. You know, he sees that him impaling with like a stake, basically just wood, right?
Yeah.
With the pencil works when Dandridge attacks him in his home.
That's a great scene.
Yeah.
I love that whole bedroom scene, right?
Yeah, I like that scene quite a bit. Like Serena is just so like menacing and cool at the same time.
Yeah.
And then when he loses, it's cool. It's like, oh shit, this is scary.
Yeah. And how does the mom not hear this?
Well, see, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because in the previous scene, we obviously see them drinking alcohol. I just assumed she was like passed out from the alcohol.
Oh.
And he also, again, he has vampire powers, so he could have put her to sleep in some way.
It's true. I mean, because Charlie's being thrown across he's being thrown across his bedroom into his closet. Some of his stuff is getting knocked out. I mean, his room's getting jacked up.
Also, she works she's transitioning to night shifts, so like I don't know.
Yeah, maybe she's just
there's enough like evidence in the movie for there to be like, I don't care. This is cool.
It is. It is cool. Yeah. So there's that whole bedroom scene. And you know, even Dandridge gives him the opportunity. Look, Charlie, just forget about me. You know, I'll go about my business, you go about yours. But of course, Charlie can't do that. You know, he tries to get him with the cross and
I don't know why Charlie can't do that. I mean, he totally could do that. Because like the only person who's being threatened right now is him.
So if you know there's a vampire living next door to you, and you've seen him with women that are ended up on the news dead, you think you could just let it go and not? I mean,
when my death is immediate, if I answer wrong, yeah, probably. Let's be real. Charlie Brewster got lucky. He should have died. He just happened to stab him with a pencil, and then he got spooked because the mom was waking up. That's the only reason he left.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, I'm just going to kill you tomorrow night, I guess.
Yeah,
You know, like
it's inevitable.
He should have died. If Dandridge was a good vampire, Brewster would just be dead. And if I was facing against a stupid vampire, then I'd be like, yeah, I guess not. Let me just stab you with a pencil, then I'd be good. Yeah, funny story. I've actually stabbed myself with a pencil.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever told you.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but when I was in middle school, I stabbed myself with a pencil in a stupid way, an accident.
Yeah.
And I just have like a gray mark.
Yeah, I think I remember that
on my hand.
Yeah.
This was when I was in art class.
I think I remember that.
So yeah, he probably just because he's a vampire doesn't mean he doesn't have like lead stain in his hand from now on. But you know, like yeah, I would probably be like, no, dude, that's fine. I'll forget. Yeah. So, but that happens, and then obviously a bunch of other stuff happens, and then you know now Charlie Brewster, who doesn't want to die, needs help. His friends don't believe him. His girlfriend doesn't believe him. So let's go to. I keep wanting to call him just Vincent Price.
I know it's Peter Vincent.
Peter Vincent. So he wants to go.
And it makes sense you're calling him. I mean, it's totally a right. It's either a ripoff or we're paying homage to Vincent Price.
It has to be because it's all there.
I mean, the name's there, everything is there. But yeah, Peter
He's even
Vincent.
Like starring in the movies they're showing, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
He's just not the vampire. He's a vampire killer.
He's a vampire. Yeah.
So, he goes to him because obviously you go to a celebrity to solve your problem when you have a murderous vampire next door, and obviously he says no. It's a character, you dumbass. I'm not actually a vampire killer, and also you're crazy. So he says no to all that. And then, he goes crazy. So Brewster goes crazy in his own bedroom. And then Amy and Evil come down and check on him. They're like, okay, you're obviously crazy, but let's accept your delusions. Try to go get you through your delusion.
What is he? He's carving a steak or something. He's got garlic everywhere, and
there's candles.
And it looks like he hasn't slept in like weeks, but it was like the same day or the next day.
It's the same day, dude.
Same day.
So It's I don't know if you remember like the promotional material. Actually, I think it's in the movie for like Suicide Squad with like the Joker and all the like the knives and
Mm,
blades and weapons around him, like in
yeah.
this weird like spiral symmetrical pattern type of thing. And like someone did the math and they're like, yeah, this took him like 23 hours to do, I guess. And so I was like wondering how long did this take Brewster to get all the candles set up in just the right way and still have time to like create like three different stakes and create a new one and nail down all the windows. Like it's only been like 3 hours. Like, has he really done it in that amount of time? Anyway,
Yeah.
so they go to Peter Vincent and it's like, hey man, that crazy kid, he's our buddy. Can you just like help him along? This next door neighbor is obviously not a vampire. Just like have him drink some holy water. That's Peter Vincent's idea. And then just like, let's just prove to him that he's not a vampire. And then Brewster's like, okay, that's a good idea. Because I want you to know he's a vampire. But like, okay, we want you to know that he's not a vampire. So they actually convince the celebrity to come down there
Yeah.
in his costume and get up and bring holy water, quote unquote. It's not
Yeah.
actually holy water, it's just tap water. And it's like a good date type of thing. Everyone's going to hang out for a bit.
Yeah, but what I loved is the whole because Peter Vincent got fired from his gig and he's broke, washed up. I don't know, and they can't convince him until Amy offers him what, a $500 savings bond, and he's all over that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Which is pretty hilarious, man.
And I was it's like that, like I mean, laughing good.
So they're gonna meet. I think either Amy, is it Amy, or I think it's Evil, calls up Dandridge and to set this whole thing up. And
so they meet at Dandridge's house at 6 p.m.
the next day, right?
It's funny, yeah. And he's like yawning because obviously he just woke up instead of doing work things like he tells people. And then they go through the scene. Obviously, it's tap water. He drinks the tap water. Brewster doesn't believe it. They're convinced. Like the friends are convinced. Vincent's convinced. And then they're getting to leave. And also, I really do like this scene. It's very tense because obviously Brewster's like fighting it this entire time.
Yeah.
And then Billy's like doing like a very Walton Goggins-y thing by just kind of existing and like stepping forward and being menacing in general.
Yeah.
And then Dandridge is like, ooh, is anything gonna like not go my way? But he's really cool, so it doesn't. And like everything is like good. And then we get to the very, very end of the scene, and like Peter Vincent shows the prop that we had seen in an earlier scene with the mirror that was from like an old movie.
What was he checking his face or something?
He was doing whatever
he was doing.
And then like obviously Dandridge doesn't show up because he's a vampire, and then he's like, oh, this is it. I guess I was wrong, and vampires do exist, and this guy's a vampire.
And what does he drop? He drops the little drops the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely startled, and of course, Dandridge picks up on this. And Charlie absolutely does. He gets them the hell out of the house. Charlie confronts Peter. Come on, Mr. Vincent. I mean, you saw something. Please tell me, because everyone else thinks I'm crazy. And of course, he justifies. Yeah, he didn't cast a reflection. So Dandridge and Billy are talking, and then Dandridge steps on the piece of glass that broke from the mirror, and so. Yeah.
So now he knows that Peter Vincent knows. And of course, he already knows that Brewster knows. And now Amy and Evil don't know, but he has to assume they know. Is that all track?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So basically so Vincent's going back to his place, and then the three kids are going back to, their homes, but they're walking together. And this is where Dandridge goes to attack. So he corners Evil, bites him because, well, Evil accepts his offer to like not
take care of him because
Evil's
you could tell Evil is a kid that probably gets a lot of shit from people at school. He gets picked on and bullied, and maybe Amy and Brewster is only friends. Not quite sure, but I think that's kind of what Dandridge is saying. Look, you'll never have to put up with any shit anymore. I'll take care of you. I think it's a pretty good deal. At least Evil thinks it's a good deal.
Yeah, and that's the deal I would have taken basically.
Instead.
Yeah, if we were talking about earlier in the movie. So yeah, and then he turns into like a werewolf vampire type of thing.
Yeah.
Then he goes to attack Amy and Brewster. I forgot the names for a second.
Yeah.
And then we get the whole club scene. We already talked about it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
He's calling Vincent. And I think right before this, we see Evil attack Vincent. And then Vincent actually staves him off with the cross.
Yes. Burns the cross. It's
super gnarly. And I feel so bad for like both of them. Like even Evil has like a tear coming down his face. And I was like, man, he was not like expecting this, I bet.
Yeah.
And he's obviously in like a huge pain. He only accepted the offer because, he didn't want to be bullied and he was going to die anyway. So that might as well choose the one of lesser evils, right? Yeah. I said that wrong.
The lesser evil.
Thank you. And so well, man, I just feel really, really bad now. This movie's getting really, really dark and it's becoming less fun for me because I'm very uncomfortable.
I did notice that when we were watching it. Yeah.
So anyway, and then we get the whole like sort of rapey, almost ballroom scene or club scene. And then he obviously kidnaps her, takes her to a home. And then we get like further sexual stuff. Then he bites her after like fingering her. It's very.
I don't know if it's a finger.
It suggests that was what was suggested to me, man.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he immediately bites her right after that. So there's obviously like allegory for like taking her virginity in like multiple ways, and it's like not really feeling this.
No,
25 years on.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. If I could remove anything from this movie, it would be that scene in the bedroom. And the nightclub scene, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. I think they could have gone a different route with it at all. And then and please explain to me again, different rules. But why does Amy's hair get longer and change color? Because she was like what was her hair originally? Like
really short,
blonde, blondish brown, and then all of a sudden it was red, and then it was super long, and so it's like what the hell is that?
I think the only thing that kind of makes sense is like your hair, quote unquote, grows out when you're dead. It doesn't, but like that's kind of like the myth. So maybe like she's becoming undead now, so her hair's growing out. It also can just be like, oh yeah, when you're a monster, your hair goes everywhere. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. If anyone knows, please send us a comment or something. Let us know. But I don't get that.
So anyway,
but it's fine.
Yeah. So Vincent Price. Peter Vincent and Brewster come to save the day. He convinces him to come down to the house. He brings a gun, a box full of steaks and stuff, and they're going to go to town on these guys. They kind of do, actually. They do a pretty good job. Honestly, they do a really good job. They kill Billy, who turns out to be like some weird
I don't know
undead
what he is.
zombie guy, because he gets shot in the head, but he's okay.
Like, is he? I don't know, man. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's just, like I said, he's a temporary vampire. I don't know what the hell he is, man.
I know, but I know there is like a vampire rule here for the servant, and I feel like this is explored in another horror movie I haven't seen yet, but I've heard about, like, I don't know, but there's obviously some weird undead stuff going on here with the vampire partnership, but I don't know. Yeah. So, but he dies.
And then,
and then we get that cool, like, green goo scene. I'm always down for like some green goo and people disintegrating, like, Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And then Sam
again
comes out.
Indiana Jones. Same thing, dude.
Give me a friggin' break.
And then like Dandridge is super cool through all of this.
And scary. And then I think Peter Vincent freaks the hell out and runs next door to Charlie's house. He chickens out. I don't know if it was too much for him, so he heads over there.
Well, even if he does chicken out, he immediately has like a redemption arc, and like the very next scene where he basically kills Evil.
He does kill Evil.
And again, I feel bad too.
I like the scene with Evil.
Like he has like a 10-minute death scene where like both of them just feel really bad.
Yeah,
and then I feel really bad, and he's super bloody. He still has a scar on his forehead. He's like a teenager.
The scar does go away.
Yeah, after he quote unquote dies.
That death scene went on way too long.
Yeah, and again, this is where like the movie stops being fun. Is like, well, this is really, really, really heavy and depressing.
Yes,
because we were basically watching like this coerced, like Stockholm syndrome, almost like all within like 3 hours or whatever. Like victim die before his time. It's just it's really rough to watch. He gets him with a stake in the chest, and then he slowly dies.
Slowly dies. I mean, he turns I mean, he's a vampire, I guess, in the bed, and then there's that whole kind of cool, some dialogue with him and Peter Vincent, and then he gets the stake to the heart, but he turns it before that he turns into a wolf. I still don't understand that, but I'm sure I know there's an explanation for it. Some cool transformations though, as he's going from like the wolf to basically a human.
Yeah, it looks really good.
Some cool effects. I mean, by this time we had, American Werewolf in London was years prior. There are some. I think The Howling had already been out. Yeah, I think the Howling was either early '80s or late '70s. But you have a lot of other werewolf kind of transformations that you could pull from, and that's what you're seeing a little bit in this. The one little scene where it looked like it was reversing, like the skin. Remember that part? They did that in one of the Elm Streets. I think they did that in part 4 with Freddy. That's what that reminded me of. But this would have been prior to Elm Street 4. But anyways, so Evil's now dead. He's turned back to human. His scar.
Yeah, man. Imagine being the mom and coming back and seeing that. That'd be pretty crazy.
Kind of fucked up.
I was kind of thinking that's where the movie would go, but it doesn't go there.
No.
Obviously, like Evil must have like left, quote unquote, or like spoilers, he's not dead because he's in the very like tag at the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the only big bad left now is Dandridge, so they just gotta kill him.
I mean, we have a vampire Amy. I mean, she's kind of in between, right? I mean, so
yeah, and now they've got like this interesting situation where they just gotta like not kill her but keep her at bay, like subdue her in a way. So they do that. Well,
Peter and Charlie, try to take care of.
No,
Dandridge.
I was gonna say Price or whatever again. So
Peter Vincent.
Whatever.
Peter Vincent.
Yeah, okay.
How do you not
VP.
remember this?
VP.
No, Peter Vincent.
PV.
Oh my God! How do you? I've said Peter Vincent 100 times.
I don't care. They killed Dandridge, okay, and then he's going to sleep now. So let's get him. Let's stake him in the heart because when they're confronting him, the sun comes up, so he like turns into a bat and goes back to his coffin, and then now they just need to kill him while also making sure that Amy doesn't also get killed, or they need to kill her by going crazy, and then. So they go to the basement. PV is going to open the coffin and kill him, but like Brewster has to like deal with Amy, and now we get like a super confident, sexy Amy, and she like. Does she get hit at all? Does Brewster like hit her?
Nah, I don't remember.
I don't know, but she like turns her face away from him, and then she turns back, and she's got that really cool face that's on the poster. Or on the face of this poster, and it looks really cool.
It's really cool.
I mean, obviously, if you look a little too hard at it, you can see where all like the makeup starts.
I don't care, man, because
it's really cool.
I think the mouth is friggin' awesome.
Yeah,
man. I mean, yeah, that is a scene that is used a lot when people pull from Fright Night or other just vampire stuff. That particular scene is pulled a lot, and I love this. I love this mouth, and this look is fucking cool, man.
Yeah. So they, there's not much to talk about. There's confrontation. Dandridge wakes up before Vincent gets the stake in, like enough. He pulls out the stake that's in him a little bit, and he's okay. And then Amy sees that he's okay, and they're like, "Oh, sweet. Or I guess we're still in this." But it's daytime, and what we saw in like one of the very first few scenes of the movie is Billy actually painting all these windows black with like some like blackout paint.
Yeah.
So, they happen to break one of these windows and like, oh yeah, that's the solution. So they like break basically this glass house that's a basement into like oblivion for like sunlight. So just boom, 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 sunlight, sunlight, sunlight. They trap him. They get one more bit of sunlight, blows him into the wall with the sunlight, and then he blows up.
Yeah.
And then Amy is saved. It's a good day.
It's a good day. Yeah.
Except Billy died.
And Billy died?
I'm still Evil.
You mean
what's his name?
Evil. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed.
Well, Billy did die, but also
but Ed,
their friend also died, and they're like 2 scenes later, they're like, okay, that's okay. I don't care. I don't even remember this character anymore.
I know. But I mean, I've seen that I've seen that type of, let's kill the vampire with that type of light scene before. I think they did it in From Dusk Till Dawn, where they were shooting holes in the. I'm sure they've done it in other movies too. There's only so many, I guess, ways you can kill a vampire, but yeah. So Amy's okay. Everything's good, right?
Yeah, even PV gets his job back and is a ratings monster, I guess.
Is he?
I don't know. Like, why else would he have his job back? I don't know.
I think he was. I think he was changing his format. He understood that people weren't maybe into the vampire stuff instead of more into like the slashers.
Well, he shows an alien movie at the end.
What is it? An alien summer camp or something? I think it's what he said. He said. I think he said something like a summer camp gets taken over by aliens or aliens, something like that. So they're taking the whole summer camp thing, which of course is a play on, Friday the 13th, and So I mean, a lot of those movies, a lot of those slashers were in summer camps, but
obviously it's a happy ending if you just forget that evil died, which apparently they do. But obviously, they're making out in the bed. PV is all happy on TV, and then he gets interrupted because he sees like red lights, like red eyeballs almost
across the way.
Yeah, at the old Dandridge house.
Dandridge house, yeah.
And it's like, well, what's there?
Yeah, and then he kind of does a double take, and I didn't see anything. It's all good.
And then the credits roll, and you hear like, "You're cool, Brewster."
No, it's "You're so cool, Brewster."
Well, I got it mostly right.
You did get mostly right.
Yeah.
It's such a great line.
And then I'm sure there was a Fright Night too.
There was a Fright Night too.
Whatever.
And it wasn't that good.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
I think I've watched it once, and it's not memorable. It's not. And I think William Ragsdale is in it. I'll be honest, man. I don't remember. I saw it one time years ago. Don't remember anything about it. So
this could have definitely been just a one and done type of deal, and it
should have been a one and done. Yeah,
it's a good movie.
It is a good movie. So anything else that we didn't like? I don't know. I think we hit on most everything, right?
Yeah, I think I'm good. I don't think there's anything else I want to talk about.
I don't think so either.
Effects are obviously cool.
Effects are cool.
Yeah, there's not a lot of blood in this movie, actually.
No.
For a vampire movie, there's almost like no blood.
I'm cool with that. I mean,
no, I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah, no, you're right. There really wasn't a lot of blood. Some very enjoyable music.
Oh, the music was good.
Music was good. Right?
The Dandridge music, whenever he's basically just being cool on screen.
Yeah,
super cool.
He's pretty smooth, man. He's like a smooth operator.
Yeah,
an 80s reference, but he is a pretty fucking cool vampire, man.
Yeah. I want to check out the remake just to see how Colin Farrell does it. I should just watch it just to see. But I'm curious.
I heard it's bad. I haven't seen it, so I can't. I'm just basing off what I've heard from other people that it's just it.
I will say like Colin Farrell seems like the right casting because Colin Farrell's also pretty cool, but he's also like very goofy. So I'm curious how that works.
Yeah,
but I'm just curious to see like how they did.
Yeah, you should watch and let me know what you think.
We'll see.
Well, cool, man. I think that's it, right?
Yep.
So that's going to do it for this episode. Join us next week. We're talking about 2002's Dog Soldiers. Thanks again for listening. Make sure you tell everyone about our Ear for Fear podcast. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Ear for Fear. You can also check out our website, earforfear.com. There you can keep up to date on news, events, and episodes. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We hope you come back and get an earful.